Welcome, fellow creators. Have you ever found yourself just staring at a blank page, feeling that weird mix of, big dreams and total dread? If that sounds familiar, you are in exactly the right place. So, what if I told you the secret to becoming a confident, unstoppable writer isn't about more willpower, but actually less? Today, we're going to unpack a really powerful framework called the Expert Blueprint. It's all based on the science of how our brains are wired, and honestly, it can completely change your relationship with writing. Turn it from a constant struggle into something that feels, well, effortless. Let's get into it. Oof, does this question hit a little too close to home? For so many of us, writing really does feel like a battle. We put it off, then we feel guilty for not writing, and then we feel even worse when we finally sit down and nothing. The words just aren't there. It's this awful loop. We start telling ourselves stories, right? Like we don't have the talent, or we're just waiting for some magical lightning bolt of inspiration to strike. But the Expert Blueprint, it shows us something fascinating. What if the problem isn't our motivation at all? What if it's our method?
For as long as I can remember, we've been told to fight writer's block with things like discipline and motivation, just pure grit. But the Expert Blueprint we're looking at today suggests we've been coming at this from a completely backwards angle. That resistance you feel, it's not some kind of character flaw. It's just your brain doing its thing.
This quote just nails it, doesn't it? The real breakthrough isn't about trying to force yourself to feel motivated or waiting around for talent to show up. It's about working with your brain's natural programming, not constantly fighting against it. The Expert Blueprint is basically a system for tapping into your brain's built-in habit-making machinery. Your success as a writer, it turns out, doesn't depend on some muse. It depends on understanding and then rewiring your own mind. Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty of this new framework. What the Expert Blueprint really offers is a huge shift in how we approach our creative work. It's all about moving away from a system that depends on these totally unreliable things like how motivated or inspired you feel, and moving toward a science-backed system that builds a writing practice you can actually depend on day in and day out. Let's see what that looks like side by side. So this chart lays it all out so clearly. On the left, you've got the flawed approach that so many of us are stuck in. We're always chasing motivation, waiting for inspiration. We tell ourselves we just don't have the talent, and where does that leave us? Drowning in guilt. Now look at the Expert Blueprint on the right. It replaces all that shaky stuff with things that are solid and reliable. Instead of motivation, we build brain habits. Instead of waiting for inspiration, we actively create neural pathways. Instead of wishing for talent, we build automaticity, which is just a fancy word for being able to do something without even thinking about it. And the best part? Instead of guilt, we build real earned confidence. We're basically trading a lottery ticket for a system that actually works. All right, to really get how this works, we need to pop the hood and look at your brain's operating system. Just think of it like you have two different engines you can use for any task, and that includes writing. The thing is, right now, you're probably using the wrong one. Okay, so on one side, you've got the goal-directed system. This is your brain's CEO. It's the part of you that makes conscious plans, sets big goals, uses logic. It's what you use when you say, okay, this afternoon, I'm going to outline the first 3 chapters. It's incredibly powerful, but here's the catch. It burns through a ton of mental energy. Then, on the other side, you have the stimulus response system. This is your brain's autopilot. It just runs on habit. It's what lets you brush your teeth or drive home on a familiar route without even thinking about all the little steps. It's super energy efficient. So the entire goal of this Expert Blueprint is to move the act of writing from that energy-guzzling CEO over to the effortless autopilot. So how do we make that switch? How do we actually teach our brain to put writing on autopilot? Well, the answer is in this amazing biological process. We're not just changing our mindset here. We are literally changing the physical wiring of our brains. The secret ingredient to this whole thing is a concept called neuroplasticity. It's this incredible built-in ability our brains have to rewire themselves based on what we do. Every single time you repeat an action, you are physically making the neural circuits for that action stronger. A great way to think about it is like walking through a field of tall grass. The very first time you try to make a path, it's tough. You got to push through all that resistance. But if you walk that exact same path every single day, it gets easier and easier until a clear, worn-down trail just forms on its own. That is exactly what you're doing inside your brain. And this right here is the engine of change. Building a writing habit isn't about some heroic 8-hour caffeine-fueled writing marathon. No, it's about the power of small, consistent, repeated actions. That consistency, that's the signal your brain needs to start beefing up that neural pathway.
Every single repetition makes the behavior stronger, faster, and more automatic over time. So, this is the practical roadmap. Let's walk through it. Step 1, commit. This starts with your brain's CEO, your planning system. You make a super clear, specific, conscious choice. Not just, I'll write more, but something like, I'm going to write for 15 minutes every morning while I drink my coffee. Step 2, repeat. This is the most important part. You just do it, consistently, every single day. You're carving that path in the tall grass, remember? This repetition is what kicks neuroplasticity into gear. Step 3, automate. As you keep repeating the action, your brain starts to shift it over to the autopilot system. The behavior becomes automatic. It takes less mental energy. It doesn't need willpower anymore. It just kind of happens. You start to feel weird if you don't do it. And finally, step 4, gain confidence. And this isn't just wishful thinking. This is confidence you've earned. Your consistent output makes you a better writer. And watching those pages pile up, it builds a kind of self-belief that is absolutely unshakable. And that brings us to the payoff. What does your life actually look like when you've put this blueprint into action? Honestly, it looks like freedom. It's freedom from the guilt, freedom from the procrastination, freedom from that constant internal debate about whether you feel like writing today. Just think about what this really means for a second. We usually try to fight feelings like guilt and resistance head on, right? Using willpower as our only weapon. It is exhausting, and it pretty much never works long term. The expert blueprint lets you sidestep that whole battle. By rewiring the behavior at the source, at the neural level, those negative feelings just dissolve. The resistance is gone, so the guilt has no reason to even show up. You're not just treating a symptom, you're fixing the biological root cause. And this is the amazing positive feedback loop that automaticity creates. First, sitting down to write starts to feel natural, not like a chore. That whole internal argument is just over. Second, because it's on autopilot, it takes way less mental energy. That frees up your conscious mind to focus on what actually matters, being creative. Third, that consistent output is the only way to truly get better at your craft. And finally, as your skill grows, you build this deep, genuine confidence that no amount of hype or praise from other people could ever give you. This is the ultimate goal. Just imagine that. No more fighting with yourself. No more drama. Just the simple, quiet, automatic act of showing up and creating. It becomes a part of who you are, not just something you struggle to do. So as we wrap up, I want to leave you with this question. Forget about writing the whole novel or finishing that screenplay for a minute. The expert blueprint is built on tiny beginnings. What is the one, super small, almost laughably simple habit you can start today to begin rewiring your writer's brain? Could it be writing just one single sentence? Could it just be opening your laptop at the same time every day? Remember, the journey of 1,000 pages doesn't start with a giant leap. It starts with a single, repeated step. Go start your path.